Hey guys, DMS here. Today I have for you the Hifiman HE4XX from Massdrop. We're gonna do things a little bit differently today. I'm gonna cut the B-roll and just get straight to the point. I know some of you like the B-roll, but this is gonna let me get more reviews out a lot easier, considering the edit times. Plus, it makes time for some other content you guys have been asking for. So let's get into it. The HE4XX is basically, in a nutshell, the HE400i driver in the HE400 housing. Now, the HE400 is an older Hifiman, uses this headband, unlike the new ones that have a suspension strap. The one difference I will note, though, is that this is lighter than the old Hifiman HE400. And I'm definitely not complaining. It is more comfortable than the original by quite a bit. But I definitely do prefer a suspension strap, as this will get on my nerves eventually, and this padding might start to break down over time. But with that said, the HE400i driver is a great driver for the price. And I'm glad that they didn't go with the classic HE400 terminations and instead went with 2.5mm. Now, I do have the pads swapped on these right now. These are not the pads that come on them. I did most of my listening with the stock pads, but I did try a few others, and these mainly are on there for comfort, and actually because I bought this pair, and I'm giving it to my best friend as a Christmas present. He liked the old HE400s a really long time ago with these pads on them, and I figured it's time we finally upgrade him from his 5.9/8. So let's get into sound. The main things on these that stand out to me are bass extension, which especially for the price is very impressive, and soundstage. One thing that the 400i and the 4XX inherently both do, because they have the same driver, is soundstage and that big planar sound. It sounds like a large driver, and that's because it is a large driver. This is significantly bigger than your average dynamic, or even small planars like the T50RP. Now, of course, this is an open back headphone, so nothing crazy there, but the soundstage and imaging for these headphones, I definitely am going to say is a win. Now, separation in the mid-range is not as strong as the 5.8X. However, separation in the lows and highs is definitely exceptional for what these cost. And actually, depending on what you're doing and depending on what type of music you like, you may prefer these over the 5.8X. I certainly find them to be more detailed. However, definitely less tonally accurate. These do dip down a little bit in the upper mid-range and lower treble before spiking back up. They can be a little bit sibilant at times because there are some treble spikes. And I think this is probably their weakest point, is the fact that some of these treble spikes can be harsh at times. Now, they're not too particularly hard to drive, but you are going to need something stronger than, say, a Fulla or a really tiny DAC amp like that. So for these, maybe something like a Magni or an Atom with a cheap DAC. Though I definitely do think their capabilities can extend past that. Now, this does have single-sided magnets. It's nowhere near as tight as something like an LCD, but the fact that the treble and low end are both slightly elevated, making this oh so slightly V-shaped, it does give a little bit of the illusion of making up for some of that tightness. And I'm not saying they're not a tight headphone. I definitely still think this outperforms 5.8X in detail. Definitely not in mid-range or vocal presence, but it certainly holds its ground. And for a relatively simple and pretty dang cheap large planar, I really can't complain. I think you're gonna get the best results from these by pad rolling them a little bit. I couldn't find many pads that actually improved the frequency response in a more neutral way, but I did find several that made them a little bit more fun. But I will leave that more up to the recommendations of the viewers. The ones on them right now are the Mr. Speaker's Alpha pads, which elevate the lows a little bit more, making them pretty fun, and the soundstage becomes very wide at the expense of less mid-range. Now, I did this because, as I said, my friend really likes them like this, and I've been using them a little bit actually for gaming, which I don't game nearly as much as I used to, but it was a pretty fun experience, and I could definitely see myself enjoying movies like this. So overall, I think that if you are going for a mid-fi, hi-fi setup, I think these are an excellent headphone on their own, and if you wanted to have something really well-rounded, I would try these and the 5.8X paired together side by side so you have something nice to switch between. Because I don't know about you, but I get bored sometimes with just one headphone, which is kind of why I got into this and now have a lot of headphones. So guys, I hope you really liked this video. If you did, please leave a like down below and a comment letting me know what you want to see in the future. And if you want to support the channel and get early access to videos like this one, you can check out the Patreon linked in the video description. Until the next one, guys. Peace. Don't stop. you.